Burkina Faso, once called one of the poorest countries in the world. But today, the world trembles at its name. Ibrahim Traoré, the young soldier who defied France, expelled foreign troops, and dared to stand up against centuries of Western control, has just shocked the world again. In August 2025, Burkina Faso quietly signed a $60 billion defense and agriculture deal with Turkey. No press conferences, no Western media, no cameras, just two leaders in a closed room, sealing an agreement that could change Africa forever. Washington is rattled. Paris is furious. The European Union is scrambling. Because this is not just about money. This is about power, sovereignty, and who will control Africa's destiny in the 21st century. Today, we dive deep into the secret deal, the global power struggle it unleashed, and why Ibrahim Traoré's boldest move yet may ignite a new era of independence, or a new Cold War on African soil. For months, whispers have been circulating in Ouagadougou. Strange visitors seen entering government buildings late at night. Turkish delegations slipping past the eyes of French and American diplomats. Meetings held in silence, without leaks, without headlines. By the time the papers were signed in August 2025, not a single Western intelligence agency fully knew what was coming. The deal was unprecedented. $30 billion for defense, advanced Bayraktar drones, armored vehicles, artillery systems, and Turkish military trainers to strengthen Burkina Faso's fight against terrorism. $30 billion for agriculture, mechanized farming equipment, irrigation canals, fertilizer plants, seed banks, and massive investment to transform Burkina Faso from a food-insecure nation into a breadbasket for Africa. The signing itself was symbolic. No red carpets, no champagne, no foreign journalists, just Traoré, Turkey's envoys, and a table stacked with documents. When the final page was signed, Traoré reportedly whispered to his aides, "Today, Burkina Faso is no longer a slave. We stand on our own feet." The secrecy wasn't paranoia. It was necessity. Traoré had learned from history. African leaders who tried to challenge Western dominance, from Lumumba in Congo to Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso, often didn't live long enough to finish their missions. But Traoré is different. He understands that sovereignty in today's world requires both military strength and economic power. And that's exactly what this deal delivers. Crowds poured into the streets of Ouagadougou once the news broke. Chants of "Down with imperialism" and "Vive Traoré" echoed across the capital. For ordinary Burkinabe citizens, this was not just about billions of dollars. It was about dignity. The question everyone is asking: why Turkey? Why not Russia? Why not China? The answer lies in Turkey's unique position. For over a decade, Ankara has been expanding its influence in Africa. Turkish Airlines now flies to more African capitals than almost any other airline. Turkish construction firms are building airports, highways, and stadiums from Senegal to Somalia. And most importantly, Turkey's defense industry has become a global powerhouse. The Bayraktar TB2 drone, a low-cost, high-impact weapon, has already changed wars in Libya, Syria, and even Ukraine. For Burkina Faso, constantly under siege by terrorist groups, drones mean survival. But Traoré didn't just want weapons. He wanted a partner. Unlike France, which demands loyalty in exchange for aid, or the IMF, which buries nations in debt, Turkey offered mutual interest. Turkey gets access to new markets, natural resources, and political alliances in Africa. Burkina Faso gets technology, military hardware, and agricultural investment, without Western strings attached. And why now? Because Traoré understands something crucial. Time is running out. Food insecurity is a ticking time bomb. Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali are facing rising populations and shrinking resources. If they cannot feed themselves, they will always remain vulnerable to foreign control. By securing agriculture and defense at the same time, Traoré is attempting something no African leader has tried in decades: total independence. For Turkey, the timing is also perfect. Ankara wants to assert itself as a global power, not just a regional one. By becoming Africa's new partner, Turkey sends a message to the West: you no longer control this continent. The deal's announcement hit Washington, Paris, and Brussels like a thunderclap. In Washington, State Department officials reportedly called the deal destabilizing. The Pentagon is now rethinking its troop presence in West Africa, fearing its bases in Niger could soon be at risk. In Paris, the anger was visceral. France had already been humiliated when Burkina Faso expelled its ambassador and shut down French military bases. Now, Traoré was not only rejecting Paris, he was embracing a NATO member, Turkey, in its place. French newspapers ran furious headlines. Traoré betrays France, and Burkina Faso turns to Turkey. But perhaps the most awkward reaction came from the European Union. How could they condemn a deal made with Turkey when Turkey is technically still a NATO ally? To sanction Burkina Faso would mean confronting Turkey, something Brussels is not prepared to do. Behind closed doors, Western diplomats fear a domino effect. If Burkina Faso succeeds, what will stop Mali, Niger, or even Guinea from signing their own megadeals with Turkey, Russia, or China? What happens when Africa no longer needs the IMF, the World Bank, or French aid? The truth is, the West is terrified, not just of losing Africa's resources, but of losing control. This deal could reshape the entire African continent. For Burkina Faso, the benefits are immediate: food sovereignty, massive farms, irrigation canals, and local fertilizer production could end chronic food shortages. Youth employment, millions of jobs created in agriculture, logistics, and construction. Military strength with drones and armored vehicles. Burkina Faso can finally defend its borders and crush terrorism. But the impact will not stop at Burkina Faso's borders. In Bamako, Mali's leaders are already in talks with Turkey for a similar arrangement. In Niamey, Niger sees an opportunity to strengthen the EES alliance. In Conakry, Guinea is watching closely. If even 2 or 3 more countries follow Traoré's path, the balance of power in Africa will shift forever. The Sahel could become a zone of independence, free from France, free from the IMF, free from Western control. But this future is not guaranteed. The risks are enormous. The West could respond with sanctions. Terrorist groups could be used as proxies to destabilize Burkina Faso. And history has shown that leaders who challenge global powers often become targets. Yet Traoré seems unafraid. In a recent speech, he declared, "They may try to isolate us. They may try to destroy us. But Africa will rise. And no empire will stop us." This $60 billion deal is not just a contract. It is a statement. A statement that Africa will no longer beg for aid. A statement that sovereignty is worth more than dollars. A statement that Ibrahim Traoré is ready to risk everything to free his nation. But will the world let him succeed? Will the United States strike back with sanctions? Will France attempt to sabotage Burkina Faso's rise? Or will this be the moment Africa finally breaks free and begins to write its own destiny? One thing is certain: the age of Western domination in Africa is ending. And the man holding the pen to Africa's future is Ibrahim Traoré. If you believe Africa deserves independence, share this video, because this is the story the world doesn't want you to hear.
Welcome to African Spotlight 24, your premier source for news and current affairs from across the continent. We're glad you're here. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe, like, and turn on notification to stay up to date with the latest news and analysis. Your support helps us reach more people. Disclaimer: the content of this video is based on credible, publicly available information and is intended for educational, analytical, and informational purposes only. African Spotlight 24 does not promote hate, violence, misinformation, or political unrest. Our goal is to deliver thoughtful insights, highlight local voices, and encourage informed conversations throughout Africa.